It was a chilly evening in the city, the kind where the streetlights glowed faintly through the mist, casting long shadows on the cracked pavements. On the outskirts of the bustling downtown, a narrow alley held an unseen struggle. Among the discarded cardboard boxes and the smell of damp concrete, a homeless woman named Lila huddled, her thin coat doing little to shield her from the biting cold. Life had not been kind to her, but her heart remained unbroken. Suddenly, the sharp crackle of flames erupted nearby. A fire had started in a small apartment building adjacent to the alley. Smoke swirled, thick and suffocating, filling the street with panic. From the chaos, a frantic scream pierced the air. Lila's eyes widened as she spotted a small child, no more than 5 years old, trapped on the second-floor balcony, smoke curling around his tiny body. Without thinking, Lila sprinted toward the building. Her body, though frail, was propelled by sheer instinct and courage. She found a fire escape and began to climb, each metal step groaning under her weight. The heat singed her hands, and the smoke clawed at her throat, but she refused to stop. Finally, she reached the balcony. The boy's eyes were wide with terror, tears streaking down his soot-covered cheeks. "Don't be afraid, I've got you," Lila whispered, her voice calm despite the chaos. She scooped him into her arms, feeling the tiny shivers against her chest. The descent was treacherous. Every step on the fire escape felt like it could be their last. But she didn't falter. When they finally reached the ground, neighbors and onlookers gasped in awe and relief. As the fire trucks arrived and firefighters rushed to contain the blaze, Lila handed the child to his sobbing mother. The woman clutched her son tightly, tears streaming down her face, words failing her. Lila nodded and stepped back, blending once again into the shadows of the city, unnoticed, just another homeless woman on the street. Little did Lila know that someone had been watching her the entire time. Across the street, in a sleek black car, sat Richard Blake, the CEO of Blake Enterprises, one of the wealthiest men in the country. He had been driving home after a board meeting when the smoke caught his eye. He saw the courage, the selflessness, the heart, that Lila had shown. It was a rare thing, and he felt an immediate pull to know the woman who risked everything for a stranger's child. The next morning, Richard could not shake the image of Lila carrying the child to safety. Determined, he returned to the alley where she had spent the night. But Lila had moved, leaving behind only her tattered coat and a small cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps." Undeterred, Richard began asking around, showing pictures of the woman, describing her bravery. Days passed, and he finally found her in a small park, sitting on a bench, feeding scraps of bread to a stray dog. She looked up, startled, as he approached. His presence was commanding yet kind, his tailored suit and polished shoes a stark contrast to her worn-out clothes. "Are you Lila?" he asked gently. She nodded cautiously. "Who wants to know?" "I saw what you did," Richard said, his eyes locked onto hers. "The way you saved that child, it was incredible. I want to help you." Lila's eyes narrowed. "Help from a millionaire?" It sounded like a dream. "I don't need charity," she said softly, her voice tinged with disbelief. "This isn't charity," he replied. "I want to offer you an opportunity. You have a bravery and compassion that the world rarely sees. I think you can do more than survive, you can thrive." For days, Lila wrestled with the idea. She had grown accustomed to her life on the streets, wary of the intentions of others. But something in Richard's sincerity made her consider the impossible. Finally, she agreed to meet him at his office, unsure of what to expect. The first step was simple, a safe place to stay. Richard arranged for her to live in a comfortable apartment, one that overlooked the city she had only known from the shadows. He introduced her to mentors, educators, and community leaders who helped her navigate this new world. Lila discovered skills she had buried under years of hardship, an incredible knack for organizing, a sharp eye for detail, and a natural ability to lead. Months passed, and Lila transformed. She founded a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping homeless families and children in crisis, using her own story as a testament to resilience and courage. Richard remained a constant supporter, but he never overshadowed her voice. One evening, as she stood on the balcony of her new apartment, watching the sun set over the city, Lila reflected on the twists of fate that had brought her here. A homeless woman who had once hidden in the shadows had now become a beacon of hope for many. And it all began with a fire, a child's cry, and a moment of unselfish bravery. Richard joined her, and together they watched the city lights flicker on, each one a reminder that even in the darkest corners, courage and kindness could ignite a light strong enough to change lives forever. Lila smiled, realizing that sometimes, the world's richest people were not the ones with money, but those who saw and nurtured the treasure within others. And in that moment, she knew her life, once so uncertain, had been forever transformed, not by wealth, but by faith in humanity and the courage to act when it mattered most.